Okay, and welcome to this edition of the Native News Update on this Wednesday, September 1st. I'm your host for today's program, Paul DeMain. Many of the stories viewed here can also be found at our website at IndianCountryNews.com. So here are the news stories for the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. 2 members of the 3 affiliated tribes were scheduled to be arraigned in federal court on multiple rape charges involving minors. Medicine Bird Morissette of Newtown and Dustin Morissette of Minot, North Dakota were indicted during August. How or if they are related is not clear. Court documents indicate they are 20 or 21 years old. Court documents accuse the men of being gang members who sexually mistreated young girls and took pictures and videos. They also allegedly provided minors with drugs and alcohol. Officials on the Lake Chippewa Reservation in Minnesota are using millions of dollars in federal grants to turn around 2 of the state's lowest performing schools and shake off the lingering effects of a fatal school shooting nearly 5 years ago. Minnesota Public Radio News reports teachers began work 3 weeks before students were set to arrive for classes on September 7th and are using the time to speak with parents of each and every one of their students. Patty Stomberg, a teacher at Red Lake High School, said engaging parents will increase attendance and help prevent dropouts, 2 areas where Red Lake schools have struggled for years. Some of Stomberg's students will be the first in their family to graduate from high school. It is inexcusable that 2 Indian Health Service mental health care positions remain vacant on the Standing Rock Reservation while teenage suicides remain a serious problem, said Byron Dorgan, Democratic from North Dakota. The chairman of the Senate's Indian Affairs Committee said one of the positions, Director of Mental Health Services, has been vacant a full year. Meanwhile, Dorgan said 3 teenagers have killed themselves in the past month on the Standing Rock Reservation, straddling the North and South Dakota borders. The IHS area office in Aberdeen, South Dakota, referred a request for comment to National IHS spokesman. Thomas Sweeney declined to immediately comment, saying the office had just heard of Dorgan's statements and planned to respond in a letter to the senator later. The recently created Modoc Nation, a group of Modoc Indians attempting to break away from the Klamath Tribes, is working to create its legitimacy among other Indian tribes and government agencies. How we become recognized is that we begin acting and behaving as what we truly are, a nation, said Perry Chestnut, the Modoc's Secretary of State. We're going to end up with a brighter future for our people, he said. Earlier this summer, Modocs, including several who are enrolled members of the Klamath Tribes, which include Klamaths, Modocs, and Yahooskins, declared their independence from the Klamath Tribes. Chestnut said nearly 100 adults, including 30 enrolled Klamaths, have obtained voting memberships. Chestnut said the split reflects 146 years of oppression by the Klamaths, including events that caused Modocs, led by Captain Jack, to leave the Klamath Reservation and begin the spiral of events that led to the Modoc War in 1872 through 1873. He said differences between the Modocs and the Klamaths have persisted since then. The Oneida Indian Nation is relocating a cigarette factory to its reservation in central New York as part of a broad effort to keep the states from collecting taxes on cigarettes sold by tribes there. Oneida officials said the sovereign tobacco business near Buffalo that the tribe bought for $6.6 million in the year 2008 will begin manufacturing cigarettes this month at its new location on Oneida territory, midway between Syracuse and Utica. The move was announced a week before the September 1st deadline, the date the state plans to begin taxing cigarettes sold by Native American retailers to non-Indian customers. The tribe contends that federal law preempts state efforts to tax products that are manufactured and sold on Indian territories. And of course, September 1st is today, so state's going to be trying to enforce that law in New York starting today. Leaders of the Crow tribe say a $7 billion Courte liquid fuels plant proposed for their Montana reservation could founder unless the federal government throws its support behind the industry. Crow Chairman Cedric Black Eagle says a perceived anti-coal attitude in Washington, D.C. will scare off potential plant investors. A federal tax credit recently expired for 50 cents on each gallon of liquid fuels derived from coal. Black Eagle says that could put on hold the project that's been billed as a means to pull the rural reservation out of its poverty. He says the anticipated start of construction for the plant has already been pushed back from 2012 to 2013. A scallop boat whose captain claimed he was fishing under the authority of a Maine-based tribe was boarded by the Coast Guard and issued a violation for fishing without a proper permit recently. The Coast Guard said it boarded the vessel in Nantucket last week, and the captain produced a document it claimed gave authorization to fish from the Passamaquoddy tribe. Last week, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, which regulates fisheries, sent out a broadcast that said it was speaking with the tribe to better understand its claim to fishing rights. But the NOAA also said anyone fishing for federally regulated species must have a federal permit. And that's going to be the latest roundup of news from Indian Country in this edition of the Native News Update. Miigwech for stopping in and watching us. Come by again soon.